Hello and welcome to my review of The Outer Worlds 2. I'm your host, Envy, and I'm future Envy. Whoa, where did you come from? Same place you came from, our mother. Oh. Anyways, we're going to show you the ins and outs of the brand new critically acclaimed sequel for The Outer Worlds 1, Obsidian Entertainment's famous IP. We're going to do our best to make a decent argument for why this game is good enough. So if you would be so kind as to start a new game so we can get this show on the road. Alright, new game starting in 3, 2, 1, action. Hello and welcome to my review of The Outer Worlds 2. I wanted this review to be as honest as I could possibly be without spoiling too much about the game. So I'm going to try my best to keep most of the content that I'm going to talk about within the span of the first, 3 planets, tops. I'm mostly focusing on Eden and Dorado, which if you've never played the game, you don't know what the fuck that means anyway. But, that being said, let's get right into it. So first and foremost, if I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons, the boons and the flaws, I'm going to have to talk about, the story of the game, and try to bring you up to speed if you've never played the game before. So, essentially, you start off as kind of like the courier in New Vegas. You're an outsider that's coming into the world with fresh eyes. You are an Earth Directorate agent. So the Earth Directorate is like this galactic space force of humans that patrol the galaxy and make sure that all the different corners of space are accounted for. Everyone's taken care of. Compassion is the name of the game there. So it's their job to make sure that there aren't any threats to the universe. And that's where you come in. It turns out that right when you fucking join Super Cadet Space Force or whatever, anomalies started appearing all over Arcadia, which is the name of the galaxy that you are in. So these anomalies, these rifts in space-time, they're slowly tearing apart the place that you know and love. Your home, where you store all of your shit. They're kind of a threat to everything that you know. So the only way for you to figure out how to stop them is to go to this place called Horizon Point Station and recover this fucking unsealed warp core, this skip drive technology that they talk about in the intro cutscene. So skip drives are used to go from one planet to the next and make travel time a lot shorter, but the use of them is unraveling space-time itself. So it's up to you to go recover one of the unsealed ones so that you and your team of scientists in Earth Directorate can analyze what makes them tick and why this is happening. And this plot point seems like it would be, compelling as the core of a Bethesda-style RPG. The universe is in danger and it's up to you to save it, that sort of thing. But the problem is, this game doesn't have any hooks. You know how in Fallout 3, when the game starts, it's your job to be a baby. You start off as a baby. You're not like King Murder Mountain of fucking McBadass Town or anything. You're not the coolest dude in the entire wasteland. You're not even a vault dweller that matters worth a fuck at all in the beginning of Fallout 3. You're just a baby. But you grow up alongside your father, who is a prominent figure in the vault. He's somebody that people know and trust to give good answers to difficult problems. And that is what makes Fallout so compelling as a game, especially Fallout 3. It gives the player some sort of sentimental reason, some sort of thing to latch onto, or a concept that they can relate to, that anyone can relate to. Because when you finally get out of the vault and you realize that your dad is missing, that is a struggle that everybody on Earth can relate to. That's what gives Fallout 3 its hooks, man. It's not coming up with some grandiose concept of the Earth is in danger and the universe is falling apart because of rift anomalies in space. It's more integral. It's more instinctual. It's more primitive than that. My dad is missing. That's something that people can relate to. So yes, it's all fine and good that this plot is, you know, galactic in scale, but it doesn't give you the same sort of pressure. It doesn't give you the same sense of like impending doom that losing a parent does. Instead, the whole galaxy is in danger in this game in a timescale that is much more nebulous and allows for less suspension of disbelief, but we'll get into those finite details a little bit later. First, let's get back into the plot synopsis. So after some sick character customization where you choose your bitching ass green haircut that looks like Jotaro. So far, whoa, Pompadour? What am I, JoJo? That's tight. What am I, JoJo? You make your way to Horizon Point Station. Shit. Here, you have to convince the guard that's manning the other docking station that you totally deserve to be here, and you are totally not sneaking in order to steal the unsealed skip core. You know what? Actually, you're a remedial.
You're unlikely to even remember this discussion.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Should be of no consequence to me.
Yeah.
Disable the defenses for you, man.
Hey. After convincing him to drop all of the protocols that make the automated drones attack anything on sight, you find a knife, and then you invent some sick-ass movement tech that allows you to slide cancel into slide cancel until you backstab all the guards to death. That was sick. Dude, the movement in this game is tight. And then you make your way to rendezvous with DeVries so you can get to the unsealed skip core and hopefully commandeer it for research purposes when you find out that actually DeVries has turned traitor. The Earth Directorate agent on the inside that you're supposed to be able to trust has determined that it's more important to obey the code of the galaxy. She's been brainwashed by some sort of math cult that I'll kind of showcase a little later. She believes that there's a grand plan for the universe and that part of the plan is detonating the skip core and turning that into some sort of weird black hole that starts to suck up the entirety of the galaxy? I don't know. Anyways, you find your way into an escape pod and hastily make your retreat, but turns out the escape pod isn't really set to go anywhere, so you're kind of stuck drifting through space for an undetermined amount of time. By the time you wake up to exit cryosleep, it turns out that it's been 10 years since the last time you were awake. And that's when my point about the plot being kind of nebulous comes back around full circle. It's precarious to me that you can be asleep for 10 years in cryosleep and basically nothing changes about the rift anomalies and like the danger to the universe and all that shit. The Earth Directorate makes it seem really imperative at the beginning of the game that you have to get on top of this rift anomaly shit or else we're all fucked, right? But you can go to bed, like you can take a nap for 10 years and nothing really of consequence changes whatsoever. It isn't until like after 30 hours in the game something major changes with the situation with the rifts or whatever, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, you wake up, you find out that it's been 10 years. Niles is alive. He lived somehow after the events that happened at Horizon Point Station. Valerie, your robotic assistant, kind of brings you up to speed about how you're not getting paid any overtime because you took an unauthorized vacation. And you're given a choice. You're given a choice to either spec or respec. And that is the only respec choice point in the entire game. If you fuck up your character after this point in the game, then you can't go back and make any adjustments later. You're just kind of boned forever. That was something that I wasn't aware of when I saw this screen, but after a little bit of time playing the game, that was when I started to kind of feel like my gears were being grinded by the decisions that the developers were making with the direction of the gameplay and the mechanics of the game. But before we get into any of that shit, I want to talk about what the game does right a little bit and start with the graphics and the presentation of the game and how it looks, which is one of my favorite parts about Outer Worlds 2. It looks awesome. So let's do that first. So right off the bat, right off the impact hammer rip, dude, this game is so gorgeous. There are plenty of opportunities for you to stand in awe and just like look around and just gaze at the environment and soak it all in. I mean, just looking at the different environments of the first 2 planets, I was like taken aback by how pretty they are. And if you play on PC, there's been a lot of reports of people who are like middling hardware, kind of like me, not the newest graphics card, not the newest CPU, and they're struggling to be able to keep a decent frame rate and enjoy their experience without like stutters and stuff. That is true. I have like a 3070 Ti and like a pretty okay CPU, and I'm getting, I don't know, I'm usually getting about an average of 60 FPS in most environments. It's just open world stuff, it kind of chugs. But even that, even still, with all of those problems, the game itself is just so pretty looking. It really makes up for whatever performance issues the majority of people with older hardware are having. So don't let that deter you if you see like Steam reviews and stuff that are mostly either mixed or negative because they didn't have the opportunity to play it like super smoothly. It kind of forces a lot of people to use frame generation in order to be able to get a frame rate that's decent. I even had to install like a mod that does some optimization and tweaks in the INI in order to get a more stable frame rate. But like after you do a couple things, if you've ever played a Fallout game, you know how to do all that shit, get a mod real quick. I mean, on PC it runs decent enough. On console I haven't heard any problems or complaints or anything, but that's just my experience, and I wanted to make that point so that people who are like me, who don't have the newest computer, don't like feel deterred from trying it out, giving it a shot. But yeah, if you just look at, I mean, all the fucking holo displays and shit, it looks just like the original Outer Worlds. It's like so beautiful and awesome and sci-fi, fucking cyberpunky. Man, I just love it. I'm nerding out just thinking about it. I want to play some more right now, but I can't. I'm doing a review. So that's something that the game does well, and I appreciate that of Obsidian. You know, I appreciate them for going the extra mile and making it fucking immersive, making the world immersive and beautiful to look at. So when we're going through these environments and fighting all the enemies and like looting and shit, it looks cool, and it's something like a spectacle. It's something awe-inspiring.
Enough! Your yipping reminds me of my 2 old canids. I loved those canids. You, on the other hand, are trying my patience. We don't want to try Auntie's patience, do we?
Alright, so let's move on to the dialogue and like what kind of a job they did writing the like majority of the game. You're gonna be talking to people and shit, right? The dialogue in this game is very hot or cold. It's very hit or miss. I feel like 70% of the time I am going through all of the chat options and like dialogue options, and I'm just mashing. I'm not even like skipping dialogue really. I'm just like mentally bashing my head against a wall. I'm just like wishing that the NPCs would stop talking so that I can go and do combat instead. It's frustrating to have to say that, but it's true. Some of the dialogue is written in such a way that it is convoluted, to say the least. They use big ass words that are completely unnecessary in order to make certain characters and certain factions sound more intelligent or like seem more important than they actually are. And that comes across to the player, at least to me, as like pretentious. It just is so long in the tooth sometimes when you're talking to these NPCs and they're just like going on and on about who gives a fuck, making up words. They'll say shit like twixt instead of using the word betwixt. They'll like completely make fucking words up in order to get their point across, and sometimes I even get lost in what they're trying to say or the meaning of their words. But like, for the majority of the NPCs, they speak in a very simple way and straightforwardly. But even then, when you're getting quests from NPCs and they're giving you like the first 2 dialogue lines in order to tell you what the objective is, there's usually another 5 or 6 lines of dialogue that follow that are completely unnecessary and bloat the length of conversations for no apparent reason. It drives me crazy. But even with that being said, every once in a while I do get a really good laugh out of just like the way that they write the characters and the dialogue itself. So I kind of wanted to showcase a couple of those conversations so that you can get an idea of the good times when the game kind of shines and it is written well.
Alone at last. I never thought she'd leave. Now then, allow me to introduce myself. I am D.B. Milver Street, Minister of Marketing, Duke of Demographics, Commercial Condottiere, President of Promotional Material. Tell me, do you believe in signs?
Do I believe in signs? What do you mean believe? I believe everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. Yes. Yes, I can see that kind of line working with our protectorate demographic. I do not believe in signs. I believe in opportunities. Right now, at this moment, you and I have an opportunity to save countless lives. But I'm hardly the type to beg and ask for nothing in return. Tell me, what do you desire of this island?
Better frame rate. Think we could trust this guy?
With that hat? Absolutely not.
With that hat? Absolutely not. No, we can't trust him. Look at his hat, dude. Can't trust him. Is there anything I can do to help?
Short of you skipping back in time and ordering the coagulant I need, I doubt anything can be done to accelerate the timetable for treating these soldiers.
All right. There's a chem set right here. Can't you just make it?
I am a doctor, not a magician. I cannot manufacture coagulant from the aether. Neither do I possess the special training to improvise with what supplies I have on hand. Now,
I am a doctor, not a magician, even though that's like totally within the realm of possibility. I can give you an extra gun.
Wait, my hands are shaking fit to fall off my arms. Couldn't hit the broad side of a bank. If only there was something that needed less aiming. Of course. I hate to ask, but any chance you got a grenade I can borrow? Even if I miss, the noise should scare off any raptidons.
Yeah, I have one here.
Thank you. I'll only use it if I have to. Well, off I go.
All right, see you, buddy. Have fun with your grenade in the wilderness.
I'm just gonna... Huh? What was that? Is someone in there? Stay back, I'm warning you. I got a grenade. All I gotta do is pull this pin and... Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. No, Gerald! Well, I wanted his armor anyway, so this works out for both of us. Hey. I can't take your armor? Fuck! Damn it. Well, at least I got Purple Berry Crunch. Grenade bandolier? Cool. Oh, I got a free grenade. Alright, I got my grenade back. Not bad. Good game design. Thanks, devs, for giving me my shit back that I lost in that dialogue tree.
So yeah, man, that is awesome. The way that they wrote those scenes is perfect, and that's exactly what I would expect from like an Outer Worlds sequel. Really funny and immersive and like inviting writing that is simple to understand, and gags, you know, jokes, stuff like that. That's what a lot of the first game was that sort of you know, campy and punchy, kind of slapstick almost even at times dialogue. The dialogue is kind of hot and cold, you know, hit or miss, and the combat reflects that also. It's very hot or cold, hit or miss. I mean, I was playing on very hard mode, and you can probably assume that it's going to be a challenge, but I think what I had to deal with on this difficulty was more than just like the average challenge, dude. I was putting up with way too much. X-ball card, damn.
Damn it! Who pissed in my pants?
Boom! I pissed in your pants, bitch.
Hit him again. Hit him again. Why can't I swing? I'm bugged. Oh, this game sucks. My character is bugged. I tried swinging my hammer again and I couldn't move my arms. I was holding down the melee button and it didn't do anything. What the fuck? This is exactly the type of shit I'm talking about with this game, man. What the fuck was that? I hit him with a melee attack and then I switched helmets and then I tried swinging again and I couldn't move my arms. I die in one shot. I die in one shot. I literally get one tap by this boss. Dude. You've got to be kidding me. You call this a video game? Before I can even get up and swing at him, I'm dead. Man, this game sucks. Dude. The closer I get to a mine on the ground, the more it disappears. Do you see that mine right there? It's literally disappearing as I approach it. There it is. Now it's gone. I'm supposed to dodge these? That is so stupid, dude. This game sucks. Essentially, my core point here is time to kill, especially on very hard mode. I've even heard some people complaining about like normal difficulty is way too fucking fast. Sometimes you'll just round a corner and you'll just get spucked by the first thing that you see. Like some monsters, even when you're not in an area that is out leveling you or like over leveled for your gear or your character level, you will just die to like the smallest breeze, the fucking tiniest gust of wind. You trip on a rock and stub your toe and that's your whole life bar, like crazy fast. Even when I'm specking, I'm not min-maxing. I'm not like able to min-max because again, like I said before, you can't respec unless you want to respec at the very beginning of the game. I'm not min-maxing my character in this playthrough, but like even if I was, I would be getting fucked up like crazy by literally everything in every planet, in every environment from the beginning of the game until about halfway through. I think you reach your power spike probably like 30 hours in, something like that, 25 hours in, when you're about level 16, 17. Before that, you're just getting shredded by everything, and there is no chance in hell for you to live for 5 seconds, and your companions are going down all the time, and like you're constantly having to coddle them, and it's really difficult to defend that type of balance. It almost feels unintentional the way that it, like, you will just go into a gunfight, be out in the open for 0.5 seconds, peek one corner for literally 1 second, and you're dead instantly. You're using trauma kits in order to revive yourself. Like, it's so crazy. I was not expecting that at all. That being said, very hard difficulty. I mean, it is a challenge, but it's fun. It makes the game more about like watching your angles and like picking your battles and like knowing when to go in, kind of utilizing your energy meter, making sure that you have energy before you go into an engagement, utilizing your companion abilities. There are ways around that instant speed time to kill, but the ways around almost feel like they cheapen combat as a whole, because a lot of the times I'll find myself just like staring an NPC through a doorway down and just mowing them down through a doorway and like beaming them with a gun that shocks them so that they can't move and they can't fire back, and like I'm just melting their health bar from full to dead because it's a boss fight where they would kill me instantly if I went and tried to fight them in a one-on-one situation. If I were to try to fight them fairly, they would just fucking kill me instantly and I'd have to use all my trauma kits and I'd be dead. So I'm like abusing the NPC logic and like forcing NPCs to stand in place while I murder them, and that doesn't feel good either. He almost teleported to me again. And then his boyfriend is around the corner. So do I just kite them outside? Is that what I have to do? I have to do half their health and then kite them outside? He almost fucking teleported to me again, dude. And his boyfriend two-taps me from around the corner.
Window. Should rip him out.
Kill them!
Nope, I'm out of there. You guys can die, I'm out of there. You can't come outside? You can't come outside. Oh my god. No way. The solution is stand outside and shoot him to death? You have got to be kidding me, man.
You ain't worth crap!
This is a AAA video game? You can't be fucking serious right now. And then I just do the same thing to the other guy. I stand in the doorway and I reload my gun until he dies. Damn, I crushed it. Damn, I'm so good at video games. I fucking hate this game. We waited how many years for this garbage, dude? I can't actually fight them in a real one-on-one fight, like parrying and shit, and using the mechanics to do a bunch of damage because they one-tap me on very hard mode. I'm not allowed to fight them straight up, so I have to fucking abuse exploits to be able to do any damage. Otherwise, I get instantaneously evaporated. How the fuck did they think this was fun to play for anybody?
So there's no balance struck by the development team. Obsidian did not, it feels like they didn't even play test the hardest difficulty. They're just like, fucking normal mode, this is what everybody's gonna play on. Bet. Very hard, we're just gonna ratchet up the numbers, we're just gonna make it artificial difficulty, the enemies are super spongy, they kill you instantaneously, and yep, done. Ship that shit. It's like, it feels like they didn't really think about what the experience was like on the harder difficulty modes. And we've seen this before in games in the past from Bethesda themselves. Oblivion was like this, where like when you're playing Oblivion, all of the difficulty just artificially increases with numbers if you turn up the difficulty from normal to very hard, to the point that you're just like swinging at one dude for 15 years and he never dies, and it's super irritating. Like, it's not the first time that we've seen this before. Todd Howard has done this countless times, where it's artificial difficulty instead of like making the enemies more intelligent or like work together better or any of that sort of shit. It's all just like numbers go up, take more damage, deal less damage, that sort of shit, which is cheap. But even when that is the case, that being said, I think that combat overall holds up well enough for a Bethesda-style RPG. There are even some points in the game where you'll find weapons that are interesting enough for you to like want to re-evaluate your entire build and like use something different and try something different. And early on, you can get some pretty strong weapons that can kind of carry you for the majority of the game. I mean, I got this hammer, Wham Bam, that has been carrying my ass ever since the first, I think, no, it's the second planet, Dorado, that I got it on, I'm pretty sure. That thing is so broken that I don't even have to worry about combat anymore. I just like fuck up everything. So it goes from you getting fucked up all the time for like 25-30 hours worth of gameplay to you fucking everything up constantly, and there's no in between, and it just feels like the developers didn't think about the balance of the game at all, especially because it seems in reports from people online and stuff that you can hit the level cap really early. So like you can hit max level fucking halfway through the progression of the campaign of the game and still have more story content, and you'll be already done leveling, done putting all your perks in, done spending skill points. There's nothing to grind for anymore, which is like the core gameplay loop of the game. You don't even have to do that anymore. Now you're just like enjoying your max level build. But if you didn't build your character correctly, since you cannot respec, you find yourself in this position where you're like, well, if I'm on the hardest difficulty and I didn't do this right, I have to start the whole fucking campaign over. Or I did do this right and I'm kind of looking for something else interesting to do because I already made my character a super mega elite badass, and now there's nothing to focus on. I already have my best in slot. Sometimes the gear, the uniques can be underwhelming, and like most people that I've been reading like on Reddit and shit are complaining because the armor is kind of whatever. The majority of the time when I find armor, I'll find fucking unique armor. I found this unique piece in this fucking case, this like golden unique armor that looks sick with a cool golden cape that was tight. And it turns out that the unique effect on it sucks. 5 armor? I'm on like the fucking 3rd planet. Why am I getting armor that's worth 5 DR? This sucks. Gain additional 30% damage resistance, increasing further with your speech skill. When you receive damage, you lose half the damage total in bits. It has no effect when you run out of money. What the fuck kind of dumbass dev? Which one of you tossball card motherfuckers decided that this was a cool idea for an armor effect on some of the coolest looking armor in the game? This armor looks awesome. And it sucks. Man, you guys fucking excel at knowing how to make a good game terrible. You have like a great asset, this cool ass cape, and you're like, how could I make this completely unusable by anyone? I know, let me tie it to your money count. So you run out of money the more you wear this armor, and it only has a damage rating of fucking 5. Yeah, awesome. Awesome game design. Fucking morons. These people are so good at sucking at their job, it's crazy. And yeah, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal when you think about it. Like, it's just tied to your bits, like it's still good armor, right? No big deal. But the damage rating is only 5, which is the exact same as like the armor that you would find on the first planet, which is really bad. And also 30% damage reduction is nothing compared to the amount of damage you have coming in, especially on the hardest difficulty. There's a set number of bits you can get in the entire game because NPCs stop spawning. Like, there's no respawning enemies. You can't just keep farming for more money. So there's a finite amount of money in the game. There's a limited pool of resources that you could possibly get in order to make that type of unique function.
Just a plumber. What do I know about human anatomy? People aren't toilets.
In order to be able to complete this quest, I have to have 8 speech even. And there's no items in the game that give you additional speech. There's no, like, I can just equip a hat and get, like, +2 speech or anything. You have to just, like, invest points into speech before this point in time, not knowing what the speech requirements are going to be later on in the game. And then hope to God that you have enough to pass the check when it comes up. In the game, there are a lot of skill checks, like any other Bethesda-style RPG. You have to make speech checks, and you have to make lock-picking checks, and you have to make engineering checks, and like observation and shit. And instead of there being the opportunity for you to either use companions to help you with the skill checks, like in the first game, or use armor to be able to get additional skill points from the armor when you equip it, so that you can use that in order to buff your skills so you can meet the check requirements, you are forced to just know what the number is going to be in the future that you're going to have to clear in order to like pass these checks in advance, and then build your character accordingly with no respec opportunity. It is impossible for anyone to do that without doing multiple playthroughs, and I don't think that it's fair for anyone to use the justification that like you should just play the game multiple times if you want to pass all the different types of checks. You can only invest 30 levels worth of skill points, and you only get 2 skill points a level into one character because the cap is 30. So if you do the math, it's not very complicated to know, you only get 60 points worth of skill points that you can invest in a character. So on very hard, in order to min max, you have to get 3 different skills out of all of the skills that are available to max level. So you just miss out on all the other skill checks you could possibly do in the entire game, and you will never see that content unless you go out of your way to play the game again. And that just doesn't feel very good. There's no percent chance for you to be able to pass a check if you have a little bit of skill in like one of the required skills. If you have like a couple points invested in, say, medical, and there's a medical check and there's like a dude bleeding out and he's like, man, could you help me? I just need a trauma kit, and somebody knows how to use it, and you try to use it on them. If it's like a 5 requirement and you have 4, there's no way for you to just like press the button and be like, okay, you get like a, I don't know, 75% chance to pass the check and roll for it. There's no rolling for it. If you have 4 medical and the check requires 5 medical, you just can't do it. You're not allowed to do it until the next time you play the game and you know the requirement and you do the required amount of points into that skill so you can pass the check. It's so lame. And like, it's a step backwards in game design from where we were when we started. In Outer Worlds 1, you were able to use armor to make up for the difference. In other games, in Fallout 4, you're able to use companions. You can just ask Nick Valentine to go and fucking hack the terminal because I don't want to buy hack skill. Like, that was a good system. Why do they have to reinvent the wheel backwards into a square? It doesn't make any sense. It's so frustrating, man. And like, I really want to clarify that I don't dislike this game to the point that I would give it like a terrible score out of 10, but these are glaring issues with game design in the game that make the game less enjoyable to play. As somebody who's been playing Fallout style games and like the Fallout series and Oblivion and like Elder Scrolls and shit my whole fucking life, I love all those games. This shit makes no sense. It's backwards. It's like the opposite of making progress. They did the Skyrim thing. They watered down the gameplay elements so that they could appeal to a wider audience, which is fine. I don't mind them doing that. You got to make money in order to make up for the investment of time and effort into the game that you made. Okay, great. Do it in a way that makes sense and is not blocking and barring off content to certain players because they made a RPG decision to invest in one thing and not another thing, and they didn't know that they wouldn't be able to compensate with gear like in the last game that you made. The sequel is not like the prequel. Like, dude, I was expecting to be able to do that and I can't. So like, it's punishing in a way. It's punishing is the word I would use to describe the way that they've set up the RPG elements of the Outer Worlds 2.
Like, every single time there's a door that requires brawny or engineering, you could just go around somehow, or press a button, or you could just go in through a vent, or you could just, like... It's punishing in a way that's just like lame. It just locks you out of your $70 worth of investment that you made in order to be able to play the game. And it forces you to spend more time with another playthrough that you may or may not want to even do because you've seen the majority of the story the first time around. And like, now it's just, I wonder what would have happened if I would have had enough engineering to open that door. I probably would have gotten like a handful of scrap metal and a book I never saw in the game before. It's never something good. I wish it was. If it was something good enough to warrant playing through the game again, I would go through the game again and pass all the skill checks I missed with like lockpicking and shit. But there's nothing behind lockpicking doors that's worth even looking at. I mean, all of the good shit that you want, that's supposedly like good shit,
like unique items and shit, like the one that I showed you, the golden fucking chest piece that does nothing. All of the shit that's cool looking is available to everyone. You either get the good armor from those tube things that I showed you, or the good weapons from those tube things that I showed you, or you get them from rifts, which is a thing that is a mechanic that's available to every character regardless of how you build it in an RPG style. Grab the modulating device. Finally, I can access rifts. Uh-oh. Are we cool? Lockdown initiated. Is it a gun?
The modulator. Now let's use it to make tracks and get the hell out of here.
Oh, it just does it automatically? Whoa. Whoa. It makes like space-time anomalies happen. Alright, minigun. Hell yeah, minigun. Kill this motherfucker. Bah, 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 bah. This gun sucks. Or you get them from like, there's a locked door that you have to go through in order to get this sick thing, or like it's a pickpocket check and you have to pick this guy's pocket in order to be able to get the key card in order to open the fucking secret chest that has the unique thing in it, right? But you can just put on a bucket. You can just wear a bucket on your head and steal the key card from anyone and go invisible and not have to deal with any sort of RPG anything as any kind of character, and you can get it regardless. In order to go through that special door you have to open in order to get the piece of armor, you could just fucking go around. 90% of the time in the game, there is a vent somewhere that you could go through. There is a wall you could climb. There is a way to circumvent the check in the first place so that any character can get the fucking special thing. Oh, you can just go around? Man, what is the point of having skill checks if you can just go around? I could go through this skill check for this door, or I can just fucking go over. Man, what is the point? 6 skill checks. Instead of it making like an incentive to min-max your character in a certain direction and like have a certain skill, there is no reason for you to invest in these skills that get you through these locked chests and locked doors 90% of the time, because there's fucking nothing in them. It's like, dude, they're punishing you for picking the wrong skills and building your character in one direction instead of another, and making you like commit to your choices, and then they're giving you 500 ways in which you could circumvent the fucking choices that you make. So you could just not pay attention to the RPG elements at all. And everybody is defending this game by saying, oh, you have to like dedicate yourself to your character build, and like it's a hard RPG and people don't want to like stick to their guns and like stand by their decisions anymore. And I'm like, dude, it has nothing to fucking do with standing by your decisions anymore. Anybody can get access to just about fucking everything in the game. There hasn't been a case or a situation thus far through the 3 planets that I've played, almost 4 planets that I've been to, where I was unable to get something that was worth something behind a locked door or something that I needed a special skill or perk for that I didn't have. Hasn't happened. I highly doubt that it ever will happen. So it's like that argument that people are making in order to justify Obsidian's decisions is bullshit. It sucks. The reason why I like Fallout style games is because they make you either go through a mini game where you can like lockpick the chest your fucking self and not have to use a skill, or like you can hack the terminal and you can guess the code and it's fun and it's like interactive and it's like a thing that you can do and like enjoy and have fun with. Or you can find the secret mega skeleton key that lets you just circumvent that whole minigame in general. Like, fuck that minigame. I'll never lockpick ever again. You have choices as a player. That's why it's fun. And when you actually do get a hold of the thing inside of the chest, or like go through the terminal and like open the secret fucking door, there's a sick ass cryo freezing gun in there or something awesome. And in this game, there's no payoff like that. It's just like, yeah, I did the cool thing. I got the lockpick to maximum level. I went through all the lockpicking doors and I got $5 and a ham sandwich. It's like, man, if they would have just stuck to one or the other, you have to stick to your choices, but the loot is rewarding. Or if they would have made it like you don't have to stick to your choices and you can just fucking do a minigame. Either way, I would have been cool with that shit. But instead, they were like, you have to stick to your choices and everything that you get as a result sucks. So it's the worst of both worlds. The worst of both outer worlds. And I wish I was making this up, but that has been my experience up until this point in my playthrough, and that's just the honest truth, man. I can't say anything other than how I feel and like what I see from the decisions that the developers made. I like the game. I do. And I enjoy it from like a narrative perspective, from the story perspective, from like the social commentary perspective, the way that they are like riffing on capitalism bad and like communism bad and like having the protectorate and having Auntie's Choice represent those two different factions and like all the other factions that are included, all the jokes and shit that they do with the dialogue. I like all that stuff. It's nostalgic to me, and it's what I love about this style of like Bethesda game, or Bethesda-esque, you know, Obsidian New Vegas shit, you know what I mean? I love that shit. I do. But the execution that they had for this specific entry into the genre was just lukewarm at best. It was subpar. It wasn't what I was looking for when I was looking for The Outer Worlds 2, the sequel to one of the coolest games that I played in the genre. I really like The Outer Worlds 1. But this shit, I just cannot condone, dude. So, I don't know. If I had to give it a score and, you know, put it to rest, I would say that it's a pretty solid game and it's worth giving it a try. I think that your mileage will probably vary. Maybe you'll be less irritated by all the things that I brought up in this review. But like, the best I could do is probably a 6 out of 10. I just think that the execution was not there, and maybe they were rushed, and from what I've seen online circulating, it seems like they were forced to cut a lot of content, and like, you used to be able to join the Protectorate, you can't anymore. That sort of shit. There's not a complete game here, and it kind of shows. It feels like it was undercooked, and we got like an early access version of a single player Bethesda-style RPG, and that sucks. Man, I was looking forward to this game. So I'm not complaining just for the sake of complaining. I'm complaining because like I'm a fan that gives a shit, and I almost wish that they would have done a better job overall. But this is the game that we get, and I'm gonna play it and complete it anyway. I hope that my opinion improves over the course of the rest of the game, and I hope that I'm pleasantly proven wrong when it comes to like the skill check thing and like passing it or not passing it. Either way, I don't give a fuck. I really hope that it turns out that there's some really sick shit later on that you can only get with like this specific whatever, because otherwise your choices don't largely matter, and that's no fun. So yeah, man, that's my review of The Outer Worlds 2, and I hope that it enlightened your decision a little bit if you haven't played the game yet. And if you have played the game already, then I hope that you could agree on some things, and even if you don't agree on most things, you can appreciate where I'm coming from. Anyways, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one, man. Peace.